All right, welcome to our masterclass on the leap into team coaching. I'm Ashley Abbott, the academic director for team coaching and a team coach and executive coach, and I'm joined with Beth. I want to give yourself a little bit of an intro, Beth, as well.
Yeah, I partner with Ashley as part of the faculty, and I love delivering the team coaching program, meeting practitioners, and learning alongside of them. So I'm really delighted to be with everyone here today. And I'm based in Alexandria, Virginia.
Great, and I'm based mostly in Toronto or in the Barcelona area, so I hop on both sides. So welcome. If you would like to drop into the chat, just what brought you to this webinar? Just a phrase about what had you interested, what did you want to find out? We'd love to take a look at that. And just as we head into that, we'll talk a little bit about the agenda and who we are before we get into the content.
Yeah.
So what brought you here? Beth, why don't you take us through what we're heading into?
Yeah, our session will go really fast today, but we're going to start by exploring what's the definition of team coaching from the ICF and break that down. We'll look at what even defines a team, what makes a team versus a group, so we know who we're actually working with. What are the modalities that are out there, and how does team coaching differentiate itself from other ways of working with teams that we all may be familiar with? And then we're going to explore the topic of purpose, and that is one of the key components or essentials for teams to have is around purpose. And we'll use that to talk a little bit more about what we do in the ACT program and how we bring all of these aspects to life.
Okay, we'll have a few Q&A things going on just to keep our session alive. We'd love to see you in person as well. So if you're willing, flip your camera on. We love talking to live moving people. And of course, if that's not available to you, we understand. Uh, I'm going to start some slides now. Means I fly blind a little bit, so Beth, please just jump in if you think I'm missing a hand up or something needs some attention with our group here. Um, so I'll just start that up. You notice there are two of us actually, which is maybe not usual for every presentation you go to, but we do like to actually manage and run most of our programs in a co-facilitator format. We feel that it kind of gives it a lot of life, and you get sort of double the amount of experience and sometimes differing complementary points of view on our material. So that's why there's two of us today. So, Beth, are you seeing a splash screen?
Not yet, just your photo still.
Oh, so maybe if I actually do the Zoom sharing, that's why you're not seeing anything. There we go. Share.
There you go. And just presentation mode, we're not there yet.
You're in presentation mode.
No, we can see keep going. There we go. Perfect.
Okay, here we go. The leap into team coaching. So the first thing I'll talk about really is about Brown University School of Professional Studies and ACT Leadership. We're partnered with Brown University School of Professional Studies because of the values match that you see are expressed here by Sandra Smith, the current Dean of Professional Studies. The school started in 2014, and soon after, Sandra and our faculty and our co-founders, Mike and Aaron Hutchins at ACT Leadership, joined forces to develop professional programs, certificate programs that really met the current needs of people out in organizations, out in the working world. So we love this partnership. We have our Leader as Coach program, which is a shorter version of our of our individual leadership performance coaching certification program, which we run for 8 months in partnership, and also our team coaching program, which is can follow the one-on-one programs. And so it's a excuse me, I had a cough last week, so I'm still suffering. It's an organization that really tries to provide short, powerful programs for professionals out of the working world to create responsible leaders. Many of them are in hybrid or online format and also in-person programs. And here at ACT, We run both fully virtual and also what we call hybrid programs, a little bit in person and a little bit virtual as well. And we've been doing that for over 10 years now, I guess, right, Beth? Mike and Aaron started ACT Leadership out of Alexandria, Virginia area, actually, over a decade ago. And I was happy to join them as one of the original faculty members as we started to grow. This is just a little bit about the program. So Beth, let's get into it. Yes,
Sounds good.
definition of team coaching. First
Yeah,
thing.
we're gonna start with the ICF definition of team coaching, and then we're gonna break it down. And so we'll
Mhm.
just give you a chance to read through the definition that's on the screen.
We put it up here. I don't, sometimes I challenge people to read it without taking a breath of the metal because it's quite a lot. It's like, oh my goodness, that is a lot to try to take on board. They really packed in the terminology there. So as Beth promised, let's break it down a little bit.
So we're going to spend a little bit of time on each of these elements in the ICF definition. And what you see on the left, I'll point to first, is that a lot of people come to team coaching and they have experience working with teams in different capacities. And so the puzzle piece points to all the different ways that many of us have experience working with teams, from facilitation to team building to leading teams and being the leader. And at ACT, we're really focused on the skill of team coaching, which is different than any of the other modalities out there. A lot of times, my experience with practitioners will be like, yes, I'm doing team coaching. And then they get into the program and they say, I was not doing team coaching. I was doing this, that, or the other thing. So the ACT program really prepares you to be able to be an amazing team coach. And the reality is, you draw on all these other skills and modalities in the work that you do. So it's not about setting that apart, but it's about learning how to add team coaching to it. And the ICF recognizes that too, that in this work, we move across the continuum. And this is a specific domain that you can add to the way you work with teams.
Just to hammer that point home that Beth just made there, that the ICF recognizes that there are multiple ways to engage with teams, and many practitioners have the capacity and the skill to engage in different ways. But there is, as part of the ethics, a responsibility and one of our competencies to distinguish the different ways a professional can interact with a team, to be a responsible practitioner. And so the client, which is the team, has an understanding of what you're there for and what the scope of your I don't like to use the word intervention always, but the scope of your presence is. So that yellow text at the bottom there, and this is pulled right out of the team coaching competencies document from the International Coaching Federation. Says that we may use additional modalities beyond coaching when necessary and can be overtly or discreetly, but we do want to set up the engagement as a team coaching engagement to be clear on what they're getting. So we're not going to go through this chart. We just wanted to put it there as sort of a signal that say that, it's maybe feels a little bit less crisp than what we're used to in one-on-one coaching. The engagements are often a little bit more involved and multidimensional when we get into them. So
So
the
going
first
back to,
piece.
oh yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, going back to our definition, the words that you see
Can you
highlighted
put the
in the,
fishing stuff in the garage?
Oh,
Oh,
somebody needs something in the garage. I'm going to mute them for their
sounds
own
like the
privacy.
weekend's kicking off.
Yes, Rich, glad you're on the weekend.
The words that you see in gold that are highlighted, we're going to kind of double click into each of those as part of our program today. So we're going to start with, what is the definition of a team? We're going to talk a little bit about what team dynamics means and how we look at that in team coaching. And then, as I mentioned in the agenda, we're going to focus on common purpose, because that is also part of the definition. And as we explore the definition of team, I think sometimes it might be pretty simple to say, well, that's silly. Why are we starting with the definition of team? But part of why we do that is because to do team coaching, we need to ensure we're working with a team and not a group or some other collection of people who call themselves a team, but actually aren't operating by the definition of team. And that's what we're going to explore here today.
Yeah, well, rather than just a bunch of people that happen to report to the same person, right? So what's a team? And I think this is where it starts to become clear that team coaching is a relatively new profession, right? I think people have been doing team coaching for years and years, and also other types of team or group interventions. So to get a little bit more specific, we can start to think about how do we define a team, and I think you'll find multiple definitions out there that are credible, right? So we present two here just as something to consider. One has been around since the 90s, small number of people, complementary skills, who are committed to a common purpose, performance goals, and approach for which they hold themselves mutually accountable. You'll see some commonality between that and the definition, Beth, on the other side.
Yeah, on the right-hand side, this comes out of Harvard's 6 conditions of a team, and we use this model in our program, so it's something that people who come to the program become really familiar with. But they define a team as a bounded set of people, interdependent for a common purpose, who see themselves as a social entity. And so as we start our work with teams, oftentimes as we're intaking with a leader, we're listening for or inquiring about who is on this team and is the number known? And are they working interdependently or are they working not interdependently? And do they see themselves as working towards a common purpose? All of that really becomes foundational to the work that we're doing with teams. Sometimes we can learn, they say, yeah, we have 5 people on our team, and you start your interview or survey, and then they mention Bob and Jane, and you learn there's actually 7. They're not even clear with who's on the team and off the team. Or maybe they're working in silos today, and that's part of the issue, and we're supporting them and finding their way to interdependence. And also times if you ask them if they have a purpose, which we'll be talking about as part of this session, they may, but it may not be a clear why they exist. So each of those elements are essential and research-based to show that effective teams start with teams that are founded, interdependent, and have a common purpose.
Yeah, I think that common purpose is the thing, Beth. You said, people might be, might be unclear, or people can be very clear, but very different, which can obviously cause some concerns. So here's our first little thought exercise. This is pulled from day 1 of our program, just a subset of our exercise. So we thought we'd just put it out. We do have a rather large group here. So Beth, I don't know if we're going to do a breakout. I think we'll probably just do a waterfall in the chat box here. But let's consider these 3 one-phrase scenarios and ask the question, do you need a team? Or maybe just a group or something else, right? So for the first one, documenting a new employee onboarding process, let's type in the chat just sort of a yes or a no, and maybe we'll ask for a few reasons people want to give. Yeah. We're getting lots of no's and lots of no's. And is there someone that wants to come off mute and just sort of say what makes it a no for you? Maybe Beth, you could help select someone. I've got limited vision.
Yeah, I mean, we see Brittany, Paul, Rita, Tamara, you all chatted no. What led you to that conclusion?
I focused on the word document. Document doesn't require a team. It's something that can be handled by one responsible party.
Oh, okay. I love it. You threw that word responsible in there, right? Yeah. Great. How about somebody who said yes? There's a few yeses in there. Let's hear one comment about what would make it a yes for you.
I'll share.
Yep.
I said yes because it takes others to put input into what the end product would be.
Great. So the distinguishing thing is it just writing it up as a document, or are we collecting some input? And there might be a lot of different stakeholders, and you might need them to work together to do it. So great. So there may not be a right or wrong answer here, but you can start to see what we're asking about, right? Do the people really need each other? And that's something we like to have people think about on their way into an engagement.
And we have a question with a hand raise. I think it was Melissa.
Nope, it was just going to be add to what was already said, but I'm good.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Thanks,
Thank
Melissa.
you for politely raising your hand.
Yeah. How about the next one? Maybe we'll skip the third one, but the next one, improve performance of a cross-functional emergency response system. I'm going to type a line in the chat here. So give us your yeses or nos in the chat box.
Mm.
Oh,
Yes,
getting
with
some
explanation points.
exclamation marks, yes. Or exclamation, yeah. Excellent. Okay.
Great. What makes this a yes exclamation point?
I think I included an exclamation point. Sorry, I was eating my lunch while I was listening. Um, I mean, improve performance, so collective performance of a cross-functional emergency team. I mean, the fact that they sort of spell out that they are a team and they're looking to improve performance would definitely need a team for that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and probably the fact that maybe, the emergencies are multifaceted and may need interdependent expertise to help get things
Absolutely.
resolved,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So this we'll probably leave it here in terms of this. Do you need a team? And know that there are a bunch of other conditions, but you can start to understand how if people see themselves as a team or not might have an impact on the way that they show up and do their work, right? So it's something we like to evaluate near the beginning of an engagement.
Yeah, and it could be the door opener to say, oh, yes, I can work with you, or actually the door closer because you realize team coaching isn't the right approach. Maybe you do group circle coaching or something to that effect. But starting with what is it a team for team
Yeah.
coaching is a good place to start.
Indeed. Yeah, maybe they need something else. Okay. So I'm trying to get the next slide up. Here we go. So moving on to our cloud is drifting along the definition. Now we've hit dynamics. All right. Who doesn't love a good dynamic? Wait to see, right? The difference between team coaching and television is that in team coaching, you're in the room with all the characters as the drama is unfolding. So let's talk a little bit. Really, with the way we're going to take a look at this is through a sample exam question for the advanced credential and team coaching exam that the ICF presents. And this is a sample question, so we are allowed to share it. We're going to have you read through this and then select what you think the best or the worst answer is. I've got a little poll, 2 polls set up so that we can do this. So let's take a look at this. It's a lot. Beth, should we have someone read it aloud just to keep things
Yeah,
alive?
and I'm trying to put it in the chat, Ashley, and it's not going, so I'm working on that. There we go. Sure. Would someone volunteer to read the sample exam question content at the top?
This is where we find our extroverts and introverts. Great.
Hmm.
Heather's got her hand up, but great.
As a borderline introvert extrovert, ACTC exam question. A team coach is working with a senior management team that includes the CEO of the organization and directors from 5 different departments. During the initial session, it is clear to the team coach that there is conflict between the CEO and one of the department directors. The CEO and director avoid eye contact throughout the session and cross their arms when the other one speaks. Toward the end of the session, the CEO rolls their eyes at an idea the director shares, and the director responds with a rude remark to the CEO. The other members of the team seem uncomfortable, watching in silence or looking down at the floor. What should the coach do? Should I read the options?
Sure.
Okay. What is the best action and what is the worst action? A, ask the CEO and director to leave the room and continue their conversation elsewhere. B, wait to see if the CEO responds to the director's remarks. C, invite the team to reflect on how conflict impacts the team's progress and how the team can best address conflict when it occurs. And D, remind the team members of their agreement to engage professionally in all team coaching sessions.
Beautiful, Heather. Thanks. Now you can have a glass of water to take care of your introvert side.
Done.
All right.
And so Ashley's created a poll. We're going to start with what, as you review that situation, what do you think best action is for the team coach?
Let's I'm starting the best answer. We'll do the worst answer later. Beth, I think we should get the best one and the worst one and then have the conversation.
Sure, that sounds good.
Sure.
It's always like watching a horse race at this time as they check and forth. Yeah.
And let's see if we can make it to at least, I don't know, 25 or 30 responses, and then I'll show our results. And Beth, you'll need to remind me to stop showing the results when it's time to do as well. I have a bad habit of leaving them up.
Got it.
Okay, I think we're there. Let's end the poll and show the results. Here we go. So nobody wants to kick the CEO out of the room. So sounds like we're all coaches on this call. We're not very dismissive as a bunch, right? Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure if other people can see the results. I can't. Do you have them?
Oh, I have it sharing results. I don't. Well, let me put them in the chat there. I have B with 11%.
Oh, yes, others can see.
them.
Right.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, C at 56% and D as 33%. That's what I have for the worst. Okay,
Right.
Thanks, Amanda. See you're seeing. So let's go to the worst one. So it looks like C is the winner here and A is the loser here. But I'm gonna stop sharing this. I'm gonna go back to the polls again. And let's get the worst answer. It is launched. We've got 23 people already weighing in. I'll show the results when we hit to the same number as we did before.
All right, I think we're at our
Okay,
number.
I think we're there. So I'm going to end this and share the results. Looks like A got to 85%, pretty clear based on it getting 0 in the last one. And B, we got 15%. I was through those in the chat for the worst. Okay.
Let's talk about those for a few minutes. Let's go back to the first poll where we asked what was the best action, and we had a variety of responses. So it would be great to hear for those who picked C, which was the 56% of the group. What led you to choose that as the right answer? Anybody?
You did say C, right? C is the
Yep.
56%. Yeah.
C was what came up as the highest rated.
I think that, um, you know, it's clearly a moment of conflict that you are all witnessing based on the description. And so there's no better way than to reflect on it right immediately when it's happening. So that's why I picked that one.
Got it. Thanks.
Timing. Anybody to add to that? Any other aspects that struck you when you picked it? Okay.
Or how about the worst answer? Most people choosing A. Kick the CEO out of the room. Both of them, actually.
It just didn't feel like partnering to me, kicking the CEO.
Yeah, that is a word right from the definition of team coaching, right? And Tamara, or is it Tamara?
Hi, I was thinking that it would signal to the other members of the team that even the coach wasn't willing to name the elephant in the room, right? So
Ah,
I thought it sent a message of avoidance. Mhm.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, great. Andrew.
I similarly, I think the inference here is that A, C, and D all required the coach to name what happened first. So if we assume that's the case, then that's something. But the one thing that struck me is like waiting to see if the CEO responds is sort of like is not helping facilitate and maybe is avoiding. So.
Mhm. Yeah, and sort of enough of the dynamic has already presented itself, right? In the description. I mean, how long are you going to wait? Really, they've been waiting maybe for weeks or months to deal with this. So great comments, folks. Of course, wow, there are a lot of these questions on the exam. It's not just one of them; it's the best and the worst. And these are the answers that the ICF recommends to their question.
We work through these throughout the program so that we prepare everyone who goes through it for the ACT exam. The exam questions are really fostered from the ICF competencies on team coaching. So knowing those help inform where we go. But the highlight is the right answer usually focuses on the team doing something and not the coach doing something with one person or outside of the team, but helping to create the awareness of the team of what's happening and putting them at choice for what they want to do about it.
Great. And I think that the rest of that sentence did not appear in my head, so I'm just going to keep moving on. So, it truly is a Friday. So let's follow our cloud to its final destination here. Talk just a little bit about common purpose. And there are a number of different ways that people can talk about purpose or define purpose. What one helpful way is through these three questions that I think Beth, you did a great job of summarizing these for me not so long ago. What is it that this team is here to do, right? And that only it can do compared to any other team in the organization. Otherwise, the question would be, why do they have such a team? And what can they only do together that they can't do when they are acting individually or separate? Like, why do they need each other? That's that interdependence piece coming back again. Here, the echoes of the 16 conditions. So the answer, at least from the 16 conditions framework, is that the purpose has to be clear, which is often the hardest part to get to. Compelling, meaning that the people on the team actually care about it, and consequential, that actually if they move the ball forward, it actually matters somewhere to themselves or to some group of stakeholders.
You look across, if you're considering different programs outside of ACT or you're reading books on team coaching, I think purpose is the one thing that you will find in every methodology because it is so important. And so that's one of the reasons we're pulling it out today. And we focus in our program around how you can work with teams to create a common purpose. And the reason it's so important is a lot of times people will call team coaches and say the team doesn't have trust, they're not collaborating. And it can be really tempting as a team person to go in there and help them with their trust or their psychological safety. The research shows that those things most often come because a team is not aligned. They're not aligned on what it is they're doing, and what it is they're doing needs to come from why they exist. And so that is why team purpose is the top of maybe the cornerstone of a bridge. If that's not there, the rest of the stuff just doesn't fit as well. And the team has a much harder time aligning their goals, aligning their processes, aligning how they're going to work together.
So it's getting at least, and I think there are two starting points for this. One is just what the team has been put together for and how that's expressed at first in the organization. And another place is having the team leader, especially at inception time, at least put a draft out, a rough draft. But also that leaders to be ready for the team members to punch some holes in it before they can align on it. And it can be a pretty feisty conversation, right? It can get pretty philosophical, and also to just distinguish the purpose of the team from the purpose of the organization, or the missions and the values and the vision of the organization, is another useful distinction to make, because all too often teams will just, when they're asked, what's your purpose or what do you care about, what are your values, they'll just sort of point at the organizations and say, well, we inherit those. And they don't have much more to say. They don't know how to bring them alive. They don't know how to call each other out when they feel like they're off purpose or misaligned.
So the purpose, we pull that from a book called Senior Leadership Teams, which you can find online. We've been talking about the 6 team conditions. That comes from this research, which is out of Harvard. And the work we do around purpose is one of those 6 conditions. I'll put the book in the link to it in the chat. And then Ashley, do you want to talk a little bit about the blank spaces and the 6 conditions?
Sure. Well, we already actually hit number 1, which is it a real team? We talked about that a little bit earlier this hour, right? It's one of the, let's make sure we're actually dealing with a real team so we can get our arms around the entity that is the client. Because when it comes to the ICF, that's who is declared as the client, not sort of every member that you need to track individually, but the team as an entity, as a unit, is the client. Compelling purpose is another one of the 6 conditions, right? So, and there are a bunch more. Read the book or come to our program if you want to learn about all of them. But the reason why we wanted to take a look at this is that, or that we want to introduce this in team coaching, is that it's a lens to look through when we're trying to find out what is perhaps present or not present in the makeup of a team, and B, some things to work on, direction to head in if the team wants to do the work. Right? I think that one of Ruth Wagaman's quotes, when she's one of the authors of this research and the book, one of her quotes I like the best goes along the lines of, it's pretty hard to coach a poorly designed team to success. So it's not just, as we might think of team coaching, as just jumping into the dynamic, show up in the meeting and start working with the team. We want to take sort of a more evaluative approach up front to start looking at, well, how's the team now? What are ways of looking at it? What seems to be missing? Maybe that if we help them develop in that area, would really increase the chance of their success and also the success of the coaching. So that's why we want to look at this framework, because it's not just about making the relationships better. In fact, the research shows that if people can do good work together, the relationships improve. So we look at it as a bidirectional influence rather than what a lot of, especially individual coaches, come into team coaching thinking that we're just leaning heavily into make the relationships better. It's more than that. And so we want to give you a bit of a leg to stand on with this framework.
And in the program, or if you read the book as well, you'll see that these variables are not equally weighted. Of these 6, there are some that have more impact on a team's success and effectiveness. And I find that a really great piece to educate leaders on, because sometimes they might want to skip a step, but they're like, it's okay, these 2 people aren't performing well, but we can still meet. That some of the choices that you make to move forward without some of these elements in place can hinder your effectiveness, and helping them to see the impact it can have, that no matter how much team coaching you do, if some of these other things are not in place, they will not get to a better place as a team, can be really helpful for leaders to understand for when you're working with them and all the other teams they'll be leading in the future.
Yeah, what to prioritize. They call them the 3 enablers, the 3 essentials and the 3 enablers. Excuse me. And of course, if one of the conditions changes, it changes the validity of the other 2. They need to be sort of reassessed or recontemplated. I've got a frog in my throat here, Beth. I would think we're going to
Um,
release people to a quick conversation.
Yeah, so for the next few minutes, we're going to just put you in groups so you can share your voice with others. And the conversation really is, what is this making you think about? What's it bringing up for you? What are you curious about? And then we'll come back and take a few minutes to maybe hear one or two themes, and we'll wrap up with what does our program look like, and how do you go? What does it look like if you're choosing to enroll, and how do we equip our coaches with all that they need to be able to go out and do this with confidence? So Ashley's going to break you into some breakout rooms. Well, like 6 minutes, do you think? Is that
Yeah, that's 6 minutes. I'm going to put, it's not telling me how many people we have, 3 to 4. Yeah, that's
yep.
7.
So make a friend,
7
meet,
rooms.
meet a new colleague, and we'll see you back in a few minutes.
Right. Here we go. Welcome back. So we did see a few microphones going. Any insights you would like to share? We can't really have a quick Q&A about the content at the moment, but we could hear just a few thoughts or a few ideas or curiosities popping up. What's coming up for you?
I'll start. I was just saying that this is like one of the most like helpful webinars I've ever been to because I'm like everything that you're saying resonates so much, partially because my team for the past few years has been doing the opposite of all these things that you're suggesting. And where I'm like this summer, I'm in charge of sort of rebuilding our team. And I'm very excited to like implement a lot of these things and actually make it like a healthy workplace environment that I haven't experienced and that I'm really excited to create for other people as we're hiring and building. And it just, it's giving words to what I've been feeling a lot. And so I'm like super grateful and this is awesome.
Great. Glad to hear it. Yeah, it's nice to know that. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it does take, it can take effort and some time to get things all, get all the ducks heading in the right direction.
Who else?
Any surprises even? Didn't expect.
One
Yeah,
of the things we talked about in our group was this idea that it's so important for the coach and for the sponsor of the coaching to be aligned in understanding what team coaching is and what the goals are. I shared that I've seen coaches be brought in, and the assumption by the sponsor is that the coach is going to do what the sponsor needs them to do, right? That the sponsor has an agenda and the coach is going to help make that happen. So there's a lot of education that needs to happen for the sponsor to really understand what they're signing up for.
Totally.
Yes.
I mean, in that way, to your point, it's parallel to coaching one-on-one. Like, what's that agreement of what you're both bringing and what's out of scope and in scope? And then in the program, we talk about creating agreements with the team leader. So, what are the agreements you'll need to work together well as a pair and stay in partnership with the collective team? That is a key component for sure.
One of the 6 conditions is actually about organizational support or context as well, right? Another way to look at it. And like Beth said, there are a number of different relationships. There's often there are co-coaches. There's a relationship between the coaches you need to align on. There's between the coaches and the team leader, right? And then there's between the coaches and the team leader and the team all together. What's their common understanding, and then what's the team's understanding you're leaving with them about themselves after the coaches are gone, right? We want them standing on their own feet. So alignment many ways. Yeah, it does come through in the competencies and what we talk about on days 1 and part of day 2 of our program. So let's move in that direction. Sorry, Beth, was there something else you wanted to say?
I was going to say, let's move in the time that we have left to talk a little bit about what the program looks like. So
Great. It's like we've worked together before or something.
It's like that.
All right. So here's what we like to say. We like to make team coaching easier, and easier is another acronym. There's a big acronym warning coming up for those of you that enjoy them. Get your pencils out. So easier is our way of kicking off engagement. Each letter stands for something: engage, assess, set up, intervene, empower, and review. And it's just our way of looking at an engagement, right? It's sort of a structured enough to make sense so you can run an engagement, but flexible enough that it can be adapted to the huge variety of teams that you may meet out in the world. Continuing through acronym land, our program that we offer through, at Acton through Brown University is an accredited program that is can fulfill the education requirements for applying for your ACTC credential with the ICF. So you do have to have an existing credential before you apply for the credential, either ACC, PCC, or MCC. But you do not need to have one of those three in order to participate in our program, right? So if you're near that or still approaching that, you can still begin our program. You just need to have that finished off before you actually apply for the ACTC credential as well. And if that's not for you and you're interested in perhaps renewing an existing credential you have, the hours of this program, there are about 70 hours, are valid for continuing education units for the renewal of an existing credential that you may have.
So a bit about how our program flows and what you can expect. It's 3 months long, and as Ashley mentioned, it's 70 hours. And there's both in-person or live learning where we're learning together, so synchronous learning, and then there's also asynchronous learning as you go through the journey. The program's a bit like bookends, where you have 3-day modules, full days on either end. And then you have a team you're working with in between, you have learning that you're doing in between, and working on a project as you go. We also offer, and you can see here on the chart, we offer office hours throughout the program, which are stop in, ask questions. We also have supervision, which is so key when you're doing team coaching. When you get into team coaching, you quickly learn this is complex and it is complicated, and no one team is ever the same. So if you think you got this down because you worked with 3 teams, wait till you meet team 4, because there'll be nothing like the first 3. So supervision comes in to help you as a coach step back and look at what you're doing from a different perspective and make sure that you're really bringing your best and least biased self into the work. So you get 3 supervision sessions as part of the program. The office hours are often offered 3 different times. In the middle there, you see what's called the field application session. And this is you going out to work with a team to apply what you're learning in partnership with a co-coach, and then bringing it back into class to review what you learned and how you'll use that going forward.
And after this, there's a pathway to your credential. You get a certificate from ACT and Brown, and then when you satisfy the additional requirements, you can apply for your credential. So this diagram is available on our website. Don't try to squint and look at it now. We just wanted to let you know there are about 5 parallel streams, and that there are virtual and hybrid options. Our next offering is a hybrid option, which means that Module 1 for 3 days is in person in Providence, Rhode Island, at the modern, newly constructed School of Professional Studies building right beside the river. It's a beautiful spot. Oh, and we love dogs too. Whoever's dog is there, love dogs. We used to have a dog that used to come. We used to have a dog that used to come visit the program as well. If you complete all the requirements for our program, that covers your education component for the credential. If you want to continue to apply for ACTC, you need to document 5 experiences of team coaching, write the exam, and that'll get you your ACTC. And then we hope you join our robust alumni program as well, where you can get more continuing education credits, panel discussions, workshops, practice sessions, all sorts of stuff available from our alumni program. So that's it. And probably that is the biggest number of slides you will ever see us offer in any program anywhere, because we're very much a program about experiential learning. And if you want to hear more about the program in July coming up, I'm not sure the exact date, but soon we're going to publish it. There is a 45-minute webinar just on how the program works and what it is if you want to find out more. We're also happy for you to contact us, a program advisor, to talk to us about any questions you have about the program. We want to make sure that it's the right choice for you, that you feel well set up to jump in. So please be in touch with us if you've got a question. And I see that Beth has just put in the links there for an application, but also just getting a hold of our program advisor and the overall ACT website as well. So. All right. That's all we're offering you for you today. We're really pleased that you showed up, whether you're watching online afterwards, emailing and recording, or if you joined us here live. Thank you to those of you who jumped in with a few thoughts and comments and questions live on our program today.
And what I would offer is we'll let people go. And if anyone has a remaining question, Ashley and I can stay for a few minutes and answer them here live for you too. So we're here for you. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.